and Assalamualaikum to Dr. Mazni and all my fellow classmates. Today, our team would like to present about analyzing international tourist behavior who travel to Malaysia, specifically from West Asia countries. This will be our agenda for today, mainly from exploring West Asia countries and their travel attitude until proposing the special interest tourism that's suitable with the Arab tourists based on their behavior.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur'ain binti Amit and I will present the introduction of West Asia continent. Basically a geopolitical area that has a great historical significance from the earlier civilization. The Middle East plays strategically natural terrestrial bridge that links Africa, Asia, and Europe. It was actually the origin of the first society that has on the three great religions, which is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. West Asia continent is famous for their enormous oil and gas reserve that recently made the entire East extra essential than before to the world. Today, Middle East Asia component is made of numerous Southwest Asia countries and the parts of Africa and Egypt and Libya. Often, the area encompasses Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco. Sometimes, they also included Afghanistan and Sudan. The Middle East has about as much number as United States population. The most populous states within the Asian continent is Egypt, Turkey, and Iran. The Persian Gulf nations of Bahrain and Qatar also have the lowest inhabitants. Although Saudi Arabia is the country's largest state, however, the population seems to be low in density. Basically, there are three major ethnicity groups in West Asia continent. The first one is Arabs, the second one is Turks, and the third one is Iranians. Fewer Kurds located in Turkey, Iran, and Iraq. Also, there are Jews who live primarily in Israel, Pakistanis, Armenians, and Greeks. The main language of West Asian country is Arabic. Some of them are skilled in speaking English. Majority religion in West Asia is Islam. They have two types of Islam, which is the Sunni group and the Shi'i group. For way of life of West Asia continents, mostly they are focused on agriculture, where most of the people there works as a farmer. For geographic background, West Asia continents possess high mountains, hills, and coastals around the continent. They also own the flat ground where civilization mostly grown. River Nile, Tigris, and Euphrates are the main source of water in West Asia continent. The Middle East climate is basically our hot and dry climate all year long. I pass the floor to Nuraini Syakirah.
Thank you to the previous presenter. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nuraini Syakirah binti Shaharuddin and my metric number is 1626010. So first, I'm going to present about the outbound and inbound statistics of West Asia countries. So as you can see in the graph, there is a graph for the outbound and inbound statistics from 2014 until 2019. So let us look first in the inbound statistics. So for the highest number of tourists in the inbound statistics are from Saudi Arabia, and then followed by the Turkey and also Kuwait. Then, the least number of inbound tourists from West Asia countries are from Palestine. However, the outbound tourist statistic, as you can see in the graph, For the highest number of tourists are from Qatar, followed by Saudi Arabia, and as the second rank. Next is the average outbound tourist statistics from West Asia countries are from Oman, United Arab Emirates, and Iraq. Okay, and then followed by Jordan, Kuwait, Syria, and also Bahrain. However, the least outbound are from Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Cyprus, and also Israel. Let us look for the expenditure of West Asia countries. So as you can see in the graph, it shows that the expenditure from 2014 until 2019. So the highest expenditure are scored by the West Asia countries, which are Bahrain and Turkey, which is the expenditure is in US dollar 160,000 until 180,000. It's in between. So the second highest are Qatar and Saudi Arabia, which is between 60,000 until 80,000 US dollar, followed by Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, which are between 20,000 until 40,000, while Cyprus, Georgia, Iraq, Azerbaijan, Syria, and Oman expenditure are from 0 to 20,000. So you can see that the least expenditure is Palestine, which is the zero expenditure. Then let us look for the gross domestic products, which is GDP, in 2018 and 2019. So we can compare between these 2 years. So in 2018, the highest gross domestic products scored by Saudi Arabia, followed by Turkey, and then United Arab Emirates. Next, the highest score behind United Arab Emirates is Israel, followed by Iraq. The least score in 2018 are Armenia, Palestine, and Syria, as shown in the graph. So, in comparison with 2019 gross domestic product, it shows that Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Georgia, Jordan, Bahrain, and Azerbaijan shows a fall in the gross domestic product in 2019, while Turkey and Kuwait shows a rise. However, the gross domestic products for remaining countries are constant from 2018 until 2019.
Thank you, Nuraini Syakirah. So let's move to our next agenda, which is the literature review. So Malaysia actually has gained more popularity among Arab tourists since Tourism Malaysia has come up with several initiatives to attract Arab tourists to travel to Malaysia. So there are several initiatives that have been come up to attract them. Mainly, the first initiative from Tourism Malaysia was a collaboration between Malaysia Airlines and also Air Arabia. The second one is they also launched tourism media, where they're including an Arabic version to ease the tourists while they are traveling in Malaysia. And the third one is they are organizing a mega sale, which is a shopping paradise for Arab tourists. And the last one is by promoting Visit Malaysia 2020 and also Care Travel 2020, where the Arab tourists can experience a better medical treatment in Malaysia. Now let's increase our understanding on the overview of tourist behavior and also their motivation to travel. The tourist behavior simply is a process of an action of an individual or groups, such as their choice, choosing, buying, adapting with the product and services, their experience that suit with their wants and desire during their traveling. Meanwhile, motivation is an inner state which a condition of the person that influence themselves to do such an action that brings them a satisfaction. There are two types of motivation which consists of pull and push factor. Push factor is more on internal psychological needs that associate with tourist behavior. So for example, like novelty, having a social engagement with people, in having an interest in experiencing new environment and such. While pull factor is simply the tourists who are influenced by the attributes, the features of the product and services, such as the attractions, the natural resources, having a sightseeing of scenery, beauty scenery, and others. Let's exploring West Asia tourist behavior based on previous studies. The first one is traveling style, where most of the Arab tourists are traveling with families and in groups, which including around 2 to 4 persons. And some of them are also young travelers. Next is destination choice, where the tourists prefer to have high quality standard of product and services, where they are ensured that the place are safe, clean, convenient for them, and also the most important thing is halal. The next one is the source of information. So basically, the Arab tourists, they usually obtain the information about the trip from media and also from people. Media usually from social media, from advertisement, while people, they usually trusting their families, their friends, since they already have experience traveling to the particular place. These Arab tourists were considered as high-end tourists due to their recognition of being a top spenders and also the longest length of stay in the particular destination. And most of them have high disposable income and able to stay for more than 2 weeks to experience the place. Next, these Arab tourists travel purposely for leisure and recreation, whereby they prefer to have an activities that give them enjoyment and fun, and also more to realization such as sightseeing, joining the adventure activities, shopping, and others.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nusratina binti Zulkipli. Would like to present about the research methodology. For this research, we use the quantitative method, which deals with the quantification and examination of variables for information purposes. It involves the use and analysis of quantitative values that integrate various statistical approach for answering questions such as who, how much, when, and how. The method of analysis that we use for this research are the data analysis and the descriptive analysis, which we use the SPSS. The sample that we have chosen are the visitors of the West Asia countries who come to Malaysia, and the method of sampling that we use is the convenience sampling. For this research, we have got the total of 39 respondents from the West Asia's countries. The questionnaire is divided into two sections, which are Section A and Section B. In Section A, they include the psychographic information with the 9 items and the behavioral information with the 11 items, while Section B only provided the demographic information with the 8 items for the respondent to be answered. Lastly, the research approach that we use is by distributing the Google Docs, which contains the questionnaires, through the social media such as Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp group, and Twitter. The results and findings in this study have been classified into 3 segmentations, which are the demographic, psychographic, and behavioral. The slide shows the demographic information of the respondents. Most of them are female respondents whose age are from 15 until 24 years old. And majority of them come from Turkey and undergraduate level of education. Also, most of the respondents are the students and children. The highest income of the respondents is from 2,501 until 3,500 according to their own currency. The currency that they use the most is Rial. Next is the psychographic information. Most of the respondents has come to Malaysia for their second time, and usually they stay at Malaysia for more than 22 nights. They like to travel by their own instead of using the travel package. Their main purposes for travel to Malaysia is for pleasure or holiday. Most of them know Malaysia from their friends and relatives. Next, they come to Malaysia by self-influence and family influence. The type of accommodation when they come to Malaysia is the city stay. They also like to revisit Malaysia again in the future and would like to recommend Malaysia to others. That's all for the demographic and psychographic results. Next, I pass the floor to Nuraini Syakirah for the behavioral results. Thank you.
Thank you to the previous presenter. So I'm going to proceed this presentation to present about the behavioral segmentation. So first, the behavioral segmentation is about the place state by the West Asia countries in Malaysia. So the highest score is Kuala Lumpur, which is 71.8%. And then for the spend, their spend on the accommodation for average cost for one person in a week is between RM 1,501 and RM 2,000, which the score is 30.8%, the highest score. And then for the spend, their spend on food and beverages, this is also for the average cost for one person in a week is RM 401 and above. This shows the score is, the highest score is 38.5%. And then their spend on the shopping and the souvenir are between RM 1,000 until RM 1,500 ringgit. Okay, this is the highest score is 51.3%. However, for their spend on entertainment, the highest score is 28.2%, which is the spend is RM 201, between RM 201 and RM 300. Their spend on the sightseeing for the average cost for one person in a week is between RM 201 and RM 300. The score shows 33.3% for the highest. And then for the transportation, their spend, the most of them spend is between RM 201 until RM 300. The highest score is 30.8%. Okay, so if they are choosing a package tour, they would like to spend for RM 1,000 ringgit to RM 2,000 ringgit. As shows, shows that the highest percentage score by them is 30 for this rank RM 1,000 until 2,000 ringgit is 33.3%, the highest. Okay, so as you can see in this chart, also shows that the places they visited, this can be a multiple answers. However, from their answers, most of them choose Kuala Lumpur for the places that they really want to visit, whereby the Kuala Lumpur shows the highest percentage, which is 20.2%. And lastly, for the activities that they are doing, so most of them are having activities which is shopping and also snorkeling, where these two activities shows the highest score, which is 18.8%. So thank you, that's all from me. I'll pass this presentation to the next presenter.
Thank you, Syakirah. So let's move to our next agenda, which is discussion and implication. Based on the findings, it can be seen that most of the Arab tourists who travel to Malaysia are from the range of youth to middle-age group. Majority of respondents who answer our survey are students and also have family, which at the range of age 20 years old and above. Most of them have physical ability to travel. Usually, these groups are traveling during holiday season and when they have leisure time. Next is origin. So most of our respondents came from industrially developed countries, which is from Turkey, Oman, Kuwait. However, there are least tourists who come to Malaysia, which is Palestine and also Syria, whereby these regions have several internal conflicts, political stabilities, which restrict them to travel to Malaysia. Basically, their country, geographically, their place have many kinds of natural and cultural attractions. So they choose Malaysia since it is suited with their preference while they are traveling. Since most of our respondents is the students, so majority of them have low disposable income, whereby they have low expenditure and less purchasing power. The currency exchange has affected them their willingness to pay. Although they have low disposable income, but they have high demand in service standard, whereby they expect to perceive the values from the destination and to ensure that the products that they consume are worth it. They have low disposable income because most of the students are rely on parents financially, and some of them also rely from loan, from scholarship. Next, most of the Arab tourists who travel to Malaysia are purposely for holiday and also education. So most of our respondents went to Malaysia to gain new knowledge and also experience. Since our Malaysia have its own uniqueness and have its attraction that can influence them to travel, and prefer to have recreation and leisure activities which giving them more enjoyment and fun. Since our respondent is mostly students, so some of them travel to Malaysia due to continue their studies to universities in Malaysia. This is because that our Malaysia have a better education system compared to their countries, since their country have some internal conflicts and stability such as wars, terrorism, which limiting them to continue their study. Finally, most of the tourists who travel to Malaysia, they obtain the information from two main sources, which is from media and also from paper. So media, they prefer to use the social media and also blogs to see the reviews, the feedback that given by the tourists that have revisit Malaysia. And social media is one of the current trend that have been used since it is easy and fast in giving the information. Also, people, based on the previous study, whereby most of the Arab tourists prefer to gain information from their family and friends, since they are quite trusted, and the nature of sharing the information Next is the travelling pattern of West Asia tourists. So there will be four main things that will be discussed here, which is the motivation, the length of stay, and travelling style, and also their revisit intention. Most of the Arab tourists who came to Malaysia for the purpose of holiday and leisure. These Arab tourists love to explore the nature and have an engagement with the natural resources, having a sightseeing, and also participating several activities that give them enjoyment. And the tourists also came to Malaysia to gain new knowledge and also experience, as well as to seeking for physical and mental relaxation. So next is length of stay. So based on the findings, it can be seen that most of the Arab tourists stay in Malaysia more than 22 nights, which is 2 weeks and above. So since Malaysia have various uniques of products and services that suit with the demand of the Arab tourists, so they stay for a longest night for them to experience the several places in Malaysia. Some of the factor destination choice that been chosen by the Arab tourists in terms of the safety, the cleanliness, the halal, the convenient, and also the quality services delivered to them. Based on the findings, it can be seen that most of Arab tourists prefer to travel independently. As such, they prefer to create their own trip and also activities so that they can explore Malaysia more without any limitation. Throughout experiencing Malaysia, they able to suit with their minimal budget, since most of our respondents are young travelers. The last thing is the revisit intention. Based on the findings, it can be seen that most of the Arab tourists have a positive view towards Malaysia. This is because that Malaysia has met their expectation due to several aspects, mainly in terms of the halal standard, the quality services, the cheap price, the availability of the attractive attraction, the gastronomy, and also having a good climate. To the next part, which is the implications for tourism stakeholders in Malaysia. There are four main approaches that we have come up. The first one is marketing strategy. The management should actively promote promotional campaign on Malaysia tourism destination through social media, and also online travel agencies is one of the main effective tool to spread the informations and also inform the Arab tourists about the existing products and services that are available in Malaysia. The second approach is having a strong collaboration with tourism agencies. Previously, Tourism Malaysia has come out an initiative of collaborating Malaysia Airlines with Air Arabia. So, the management should furtherly collaborate with other product or services attract the Arab tourists, such as in terms of hotel, F&B, the destination management, and many more. The third approach is enhancing service quality and products. The management should producing a well-trained personnel in delivering the service, as such in terms of communication, giving the opportunity to learn other language, especially when they wanted to deal with the foreigner. And also, concerning the tourist feedbacks and complaints may also enhance the quality services. The fourth approach was enforcing the strict regulation and policies. The management or authority should improvise the existing guidelines and policies, any regulations, in order to reduce any dissatisfaction of Arab tourists. This is because that this will give a bad image towards Malaysia and may influence their motivation to travel to Malaysia. Let's move to the recommendation, which will be presented by Amit.
Next, we proceed with West Asia Tourist Special Interest Tourism. Based on the analysis in terms of determining Arabs' tourist demographic and behavior, there are two main segments that can be highlighted in this study, mainly for young and middle-aged travelers, and also families. These segments have its own preference and interest when considering their needs and desire when they were traveling in Malaysia. Under the ecotourism special interest tourism, Arab tourists prefer to have activities that involve with mental and physical needs, as well as bring enjoyment to them. For that purpose, they travel to experience leisure and recreation activities during their stay in Malaysia. One of the places that we propose for the Arab tourists is the National Park located in Pahang. There are several activities that include natural sightseeing, photography, extreme activities like climbing the mountains, jungle trekking, and also water sports. They also offer forest tour and education, which aim to educate and deliver the information to the tourists that come there, especially to the Arabs. Besides, Arab tourists can also explore the culture of the indigenous people live in the particular forest at Taman Negara Pahang. The second one is halal tourism. Most of the Arabs that come to Malaysia are Muslim, so they prefer to stay in the country where that it suits their demand of consuming halal product and services. For example, halal food or restaurants are quite important for West Asia tourists, so it is quite important for them not to eat other food read outside their religions. Besides, halal hotel is also one of the factors that influence their travel decision. Malaysia has offered halal accommodation which Sharia law which is follows the Sharia principles hotel. Halal hotel also includes the characteristic as Muslim friendly services, praying room and materials, halal food including appropriate entertainment and facilities to the others. For example, the Palma Hotel at Shah Alam. The third one recommendation is leisure travel. For West Asia tourists, leisure travel can be a form of relaxation, calm and leisure holiday while visiting Malaysia. The traveler tend to spend more money during their stay. Also, they also prefer to travel frugally or in luxury in life. We found that Arab tourists usually spend their money on shopping. So the difference currency between Arabs and Malaysian currency makes them spend a lot more money than usual. For example, Malaysians' Golden Triangle Shopping District is known for being a shopping magnet for tourists, especially from Middle East. Next is adventure tourism. West Asian tourists likes to involve themselves in expeditions for mountaineering, trekking, bungee jumping, skydiving, paragliding, or rafting. All other activities can be carried out under the adventure tourism. Youth tourists from West Asia refers to active and dynamic tourism activities which focus on actual performance and involvement in physical activities. One of the example again is Pahang National Park. West Asia tourists goes to the national park for trekking and mountain climbing activity. Since Mount Tahan is the highest peak in Peninsular Malaysia, it has always been in the minds of the enthusiastic tourists. The last one is culture tourism. Although the West Asian is also known for their multi-ethnicity, mostly are Muslims tourist attraction. Malaysia's tourism for cultural heritage become a pull factor to the Arab tourists because of the chance to experience the places and activities authentically reflects past and present stories. These Arab tourists experience culture, environment, including landscape, the visual performing arts, the unique lifestyles, values, traditions, and the events happen in Malaysia. Technically, their perception on cultural heritage in Malaysia values are diverse, from cultural, social, educational, aesthetic, and economical. For this example, Melaka has been listed as a World Heritage Site by the UNESCO for their heritage properties and the popular attraction to the tourists. So, because of this, Arab tourists tend to come to Melaka whenever they visited Malaysia.